Good afternoon. This is Marsupial Gamer with your daily news in the world of entertainment. I saw this on Twitter and just thought it was a funny little thrift store find. I'd love to find something like that for my office. So I'm going to make this a comics related video exclusively. Haven't fully decided which areas of craziness I'm going to focus on in the future, but wanted to go over a live stream that went on last night between many in the Comicsgate community, and it was quite long, so it's understandable if many people missed it, don't necessarily have the time to watch the whole thing, but I think it's worthwhile to just go over some key points. There was some misunderstandings over the weekend among some of these guys, and all of that was more or less hashed out, and that actually wasn't even the most important parts of it. So I wanted to bring up some highlights, some moments that I think were quite important. There were some initially, I guess you could say, tense moments near the beginning surrounding the idea of what some were calling gatekeeping, and I think they ended up settling on a different word just because that particular word has a lot of history behind it, some negative connotations. And let me just play for you a brief part of a video that Ethan Van Sciver, who is currently running a very successful Indiegogo campaign for his comic book Cyberfrog Blood Honey, and worked for DC for many years. A brief part of a video that he did earlier in the day yesterday.
Coming from. Somebody somebody asked me if we should keep SJWs out of comics. And I said, yes, of course. Yes, of course. What do you think this is? I'm not saying that we can. I'm not saying it's possible. We can't do that. But should we? Yeah, of course. If there was any way to prevent SJWs from ruining comic books the way they're ruining everything else, the answer is yes.
So that's all that he meant when he spoke over the weekend about gatekeeping. There was no notion of really trying to do anything other than prevent what they are trying to build with this new, what many people are calling new golden age of comic books, is trying to build. And I think there was some misunderstanding about specifically some smaller or more some newer up and coming creators perhaps not getting, well, clearly not getting as much attention as some of these larger campaigns that have been going on the last couple of months. Like I said, Ethan's Indiegogo campaign is doing spectacularly well. I believe it's the most successful crowd-funded comic book ever. And so there was a bit of consternation about, I guess, things getting a bit cliquey, and some of these folks only promoting their friends, and potentially even, I guess what they were saying was throwing shade on other indie comic books and other crowd-funded comics, and that was all hashed out last night. I'm not going to rehash all of that, but essentially there was no malicious intent, certainly, but I think the concern around not necessarily promoting some other very good, very worthwhile projects was brought up, and this is Timothy Lim, also known as Donald Thump on Twitter, speaking directly to that.
Yeah, speaking of, I'm glad that Ethan brought that up because it actually kind of dovetails into something else that was going rampant on Twitter today. I had stated several times that Ethan is not obligated to share a platform. It's generous of him to do so. And some people had been saying, well, repeatedly, like, are you telling us that Ethan needs to shill for every single person who's in the indies community? And I said, no. Not only is that impossible, but like me, there are occasions where there might be a project that might not be to my taste, and having to be on the spot where I have to be that arbiter is kind of a strange place to be. So I think one thing that we can address right now that people hear is what do we do about people who maybe aren't getting as much notice? And what is the outlet for them? I know that, for example, for myself, I'd say pretty well informed with them. I'm trying to set up a channel as well. I know Brett is too. And so if there's anyone listening who needs a platform, we're out there. And even though our platform might not be as big, don't feel left out. We don't want anyone to feel left out. If you keep on asking, if it's a book that maybe might not be to my taste or something I can't help you with, we have enough people here, a nice smorgasbord of talent that we can always refer you to other people in the network who can give you a leg up. Like what Ethan said, he's a busy guy. He's just now having to pay attention to kind of what's going on in the indie scene. So we can help each other out. And so there shouldn't be anyone who feels excluded. And obviously, I'm shilling for myself here, but if anyone does feel that way, I check every one of my DMs, even the ones from people I don't know. There are people, I think a lot of us do that. And so I don't think that feeling should have to persist or percolate. I think that there are ways of talking to people. We're not so insular that we're going to try and shut people out.
But
So that was fantastic, I thought, and there was more discussion of that, and they all agreed that that promoting newer, smaller creators was very important, and essentially that also ties in to what I was talking about before. Timothy Lim actually used the word network, and that was sort of the word that they settled on, which makes perfect sense. I've been in business for over 15 years, and essentially what Comicsgate is evolving into is simply a network of independent creators that want to make good comics. So rather than talking about it as a club, and it's certainly not going to be one or even a small group of companies necessarily. A few may spring up, but essentially it's just a networking group. So like you said, anyone that wants to get a little help in getting, say, a crowdfunding campaign going, can certainly contact any of these guys. They're all extremely nice and open and well-meaning, and they all want to help make this a real thing and continue to help comics get better. So related to that, sort of a newcomer to the main group that I've been watching is Mike Miller, who used to work at DC, and there was some joking around about him being the new guy, but he actually created a website specifically for this, for promoting all new indie comics creators. So let's see what he has to say.
also,
I have what might, in that vein, Freedom Forge. If we can use the gathered YouTube presence here to just tell people that, look, here's a marketplace of creators who are all one of us, right? And then just let that marketplace divvy out what rises and what falls. It's but at least we let everybody know that they can go to this one central source and find stuff that that's not going to make them puke in their mouth, you know. And I don't know how many of you even know about the Freedom Forge, but it's I can put it up on my.
So yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff's gone on today. You can actually see. I was just looking at this link over here about the director of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Actually, was helping spar a bit with him on Twitter. But I wanted this to be a bit more positive and uplifting. And I definitely recommend looking this stream up. I'll put the link in the description if you have the time. It says it's 2.5 hours. The last half hour, 45 minutes, is just going through the super chats and kind of basically a recap, because they basically held all of the super chats till the end. But it was a really good stream. I think those were the main points, though, is that everyone in this movement wants to support each other and wants to support anyone who wants to be a part of it, so long as they're not looking to destroy it the way that, unfortunately, comics have been under attack recently. So, some of the people that have infiltrated some of the larger companies are really flushing them down the tubes. And so I think that's all that Ethan Van Sciver was referring to when he was talking about gatekeeping, and it was generally decided that rather than use that word, let's just talk about protecting this very new and exciting movement. And definitely get in touch with any of these guys. Like I said, I'm going to link to this video, and they all go through and talk about how to contact them. And just from personal experience, I can say every one of these guys that I've contacted about one thing or another has been extremely responsive, extremely nice. I did want to just show off the Freedom Forge, and this is a site for new indie comics projects, for sharing your work. So I think this is a great place to go, and get in touch with Mike and the other guys running this site. And also, I'm just going to throw in a random plug for Ethan's Indiegogo campaign that's still got a month left to go. It's up to almost $425,000. So looking to make it, probably, I think it'll get up to 600,000 at least. So that's really, really fantastic. So thank you very much for watching, and if you get a chance, just like this video. I'd really appreciate it, and subscribe and hit that bell. And again, you can follow me on Twitter at Avatar John, or just search for Marsupial Gamer, and you'll find me there. Thank you very much for watching.